Let's date forever. Here's your weekly dose of relationship fuel with Sammy and Nathan Yeager. Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about creating an intentional life by design, how to understand and harness masculine and feminine energies, setting and achieving goals as individuals and as a couple, and prioritizing your relationship even after children. But before we dive into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
I had a couple of things that really fueled me up last week. One was I had a really great day with a client. I spent a whole day with the leadership team and we had some really good breakthroughs on a whole range of things, people things, team things, systems and processes within the business kind of things. So that was a good win, and I got some good feedback and I learned a couple of things that I can improve on, which is really nice.
Yep.
And then the other thing that really fueled me up was our epic date night on Friday night.
Yeah.
We went to a gig to see two bands that we'd never seen live before but have been on the list for like a decade, more than a decade.
Yeah. We embraced our inner emo kid.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny because the lead singer of the band was acknowledging the fact that, hey, I wrote these song lyrics when I was 16 and I'm now in my late 30s and they hit a little different. But it was so fun and I had such a nice time dancing with you, Nath, and like connecting with my inner angsty teenager. Yeah, we had a couple of drinks and it was just so fun. It was so nice to be back listening to live music, feeling it in my body, the energy of that many people, just
the crowd,
really loving every moment of it. It was so great. Yeah, so thank you for taking me on that date.
And don't forget about the JD and Coke.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good too. That's a special occasion bevy, that one.
Oh, it is, yeah.
My special occasion bevy versus my standard bevy of champagne. They're inverted.
Yeah, that's it.
What about you, Nath? What fueled you up this past week?
I had lots of things. So, yeah, definitely our Friday night date was one of them. But we also went and saw Julia Gillard earlier in the week. And that was really amazing just to see some of the progress that we've made since she made her amazing speech in Parliament 10 years ago now.
The misogyny speech.
Yeah.
Not now, not ever.
That's it. So, yeah, it was amazing to see some incredible humans and some incredible women speaking about their experience and the change that they're making in the world and the change that we can all make in the world towards gender equality. So, yeah, it was really uplifting and a really amazing night. But then also just making some progress towards some of our goals as we come towards the end of the year.
We are in sprint mode, aren't we?
Yeah, we are in sprint mode a little bit. So one of mine was to do a bike race, so I've been training hard for that and got my bike professionally fit over the weekend as well. Bought the last couple of bits and pieces that I need for the bike race, and so everything's in full swing. We're just, charging towards the end of the year.
And actually, in this episode, you'll hear us talk about our goal setting process and how we do it. But we set 22 goals for 2022 and we are approaching deadline, and both Nath and I have got some things that we're really hustling towards achieving. And at our last check-in, there were a couple of things that we just agreed and decided that's no longer a priority. We're going to let that go. Some of them might make it to next year's priority list, but for this year, let's narrow the focus and get a few things done rather than focus on lots of things.
And half-assing them or not getting any of them done.
Yeah, so we're using our whole ass on just a couple things.
That's it. So on that note, let's dive into this week's ep.
Today we've got Sharon and Adam joining us. Sharon is a business and mindset coach with a previous career in education and marketing. She and Adam met in high school and started going out right after they met. Sharon had just turned 14 and Adam was 17. Next March will be their 30th anniversary as a couple and 22 years of marriage. Last year they renewed their wedding vows in the presence of their children and close family and friends. Sharon loves that Adam still makes her coffee in bed every morning and always knows that the way to her heart is to help her drop out of her ADH overthinking brain and back into her body. Adam is a hospitality consultant with a background in chefing, having been executive chef in some big venues, including the Sydney Cricket Ground and football stadium. He's been a computer chef, i.e. off the tools, for almost a decade and wrangles Sharon most days for the home office. Together, they've been doing not only the marriage gig, but the parenting gig for quite some time with their 3 children aged 17, 11 and 8. As if that's not brave enough, in 2017, they sold their 4-bedroom house, moved into caravan and made it home for the next 2 years, traveling Australia. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
What a bio.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
So give us some context, not to like age shame you, but 14 and 17, we can work it out if that was 30 years ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, been together a few years, so yeah.
We sometimes still lose track now of how old we are. But I'm 43 and Adam's 46 now, so it's been a while.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And having been together for so long, like Nathan and I started dating like late teenage years. I think
a year or two out of high school. Yep.
And throughout our relationship, we kind of think of them as like these, we've had very distinct seasons or chapters where we were very poor uni students together. We lived in our first apartment together. We had our first careers together and we've gone through these evolutions, but you're a few years further ahead than us. Talk to us a little bit about how those chapters or seasons have shown up in your relationship.
Well, I guess it's much the same. We were students at school, and then Adam started his
apprenticeship as in a career.
I was still at school. That was tricky.
I think some of the differences around it as well is that we've gone through stages together as a couple, but we've also reached milestone ages separately as well. So that's a challenge to try and juggle and decide, make a decision in life which way you want to go as well. Clearly I was 18 before Sharon, so therefore I had an opportunity to go out and to do those things as well.
And then I went to uni. Adam was qualified as a chef by then. The truth is, like, my best friend says that we peaked too early. So, when we bought our first home, I was 21, Adam was 24. We got married when I was 22, Adam was 24. And we progressed in our careers. We became parents when I was 26, Adam was 29. And then we did go through this season after we'd had our 3 children where we started to kind of go, is this season where we're just on this hamster wheel? Like, are we okay with this? Like, we've had, so many exciting things happen over seasons that we really weren't happy to settle. And that's when the life change happened, where we left Sydney and moved into the caravan and really shook stuff up.
But from years before that, we sort of had a change of our 50 by 50 list. That's kind of where it all started from us of evolving of change for us as a couple. And we just wrote a list of what we wanted to do before we're 50 things before 50. And then we started to plow through that list quite quickly and then started to go. I mean, we had things on it like not just all monetary value things as well, just some life thing. We get a skin check. That's a thing that a lot of people don't do at our age, and then they decide when they get a little bit older that maybe it's a thing to do. But it sort of put us in a direction of deciding, all right, that's what's next.
It brought in the new season.
Yeah, this is what's next
what the
for us as well.
So there were seasons that were thrust upon us, but there were also seasons that we willed, we chose, and we manifested and brought into life. So there's been a lot of seasons.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I really love the idea of this 50 by 50 list. So was there something that kind of prompted you to look a bit more specifically at what you wanted to achieve by that age?
That was the challenging of the status quo, really.
Yeah, kind of like what do we want to do? Like we had, as I said, we
wanted excitement.
We had careers. So we definitely had careers. We had a family. We had it all, that side of it going on. But there was more, wasn't just about us as a couple to a 50 by 50. It was more as a family as well. But there was things that we wanted to achieve and just thought, sometimes if you just think about it, you don't do it. If you write it down, you hold yourself accountable to it and then you start to review back. But funny thing is a lot of people have spoken to us about that, and we always used to get asked the question, show us the list. We've never showed anyone the list ever. It's so funny because we just haven't done it. So, yeah.
But it did bring about a big change.
Have you got a list each and then some of those things are shared, or it's just one list?
Just one list.
So whose deadline are you using? Because one of you will turn 50 before the other.
So it was written, just to give you the backstory, for Adam's 40th birthday, we were going to go to New York and have Christmas over there because Adam's birthday is near Christmas. And anyway, at the time we had 3 kids and our youngest was 2, and we had to go from Sydney to the Gold Coast for Adam's work. And so there we were at the airport, and we had like kids and bags,
luggage,
and we were
everywhere.
so outnumbered that we came home and went, oh no, fuck that. We are not getting on a plane and going to New York. What are we thinking? And we'd been big into caravanning and that sort of lifestyle. So we said, no, we will go overseas. We'll upgrade the caravan and we'll go to Tasmania. And so that was what we did for Adam's 40th. And then on that trip, we sort of did like a rather large loop, how we came up, central Victoria and up some of central New South Wales to the Coffs Coast, which is where we now live. And that was our favourite holiday destination when we were in Sydney. And we were going across the Hay Plain. And if anyone has ever been on the Hay Plain, it's
flat,
freaking boring as fuck. Yeah. You don't want to go on there. So we were bored, and we'd been driving that thing for a couple of days. And so we said, hey, like,
let's write a list.
40th birthday, what are we going to do in the next 10 years? And so we did that, and it was almost exactly 12 months to the day. We realized it had just completely changed the trajectory of our life. Like, we did not even see the dramatic life change coming that it manifested, but it put us more in touch with the life we really wanted to live and the inspiration that we wanted to seek, and also the time that was otherwise slipping through our fingers, So that intention setting of saying, right, this is what we want to do. And like Adam said, some of it was superficial things, like go and have a picnic somewhere just because we'd heard it was a really great spot. And so we would just find a date and go, let's do it. And in the course of that year, which was 2016, we actually went, we did the Victorian High Country, we did the Great Ocean Road, we climbed Kosciuszko with our kids, and we did the Sunshine Coast, and we did those 4 trips in literally like long weekends and a couple of really short weeks. Yeah. So we just smashed through all this stuff that otherwise we were like, oh, really would like to go there.
I think it gives you that, as I said, once you see it on paper, it's that it holds you accountable to it. Like you've created this dream idea of what you're going to do, instead of normally like we can all decide, let's go away. And sometimes you're like, oh, let's just stay at home for the weekend and we'll do what we have to do. It's easier.
That's what we do now.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that once you see it and it's there in front of you, we tend to punch through it.
Yeah. I love that you're sharing this, because our episode 1 was with a guy named Keith Abraham, who is an expert at goal setting. This is his jam. He's done lots of research and studies around why people set goals, why some people achieve them, why other people don't, what are some great methodologies to actually then following through and achieving some of those things. And he's got a great activity called the 100 Lifetime Goals. And you go, well, 100 is a lot, but then there's 25 questions and you come up with 5 answers for each of those. And then bang, there's 100 really incredible things that you want to do or achieve or acquire or learn or give in your lifetime. So Nathan and I have done that, I think, twice now. And like really sat down and very intentionally reviewed our individual lists. And then there's some overlap with things that we both really want to do. But like I've got run a Disney marathon on mine. Like I don't think that's Nath's jam.
The word fun and run to me just doesn't suit. Like,
Well, I figure if I'm going to do a marathon, why not do it in the happiest place on earth?
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah, but I know that activity for us has really shaped a lot of decisions that we've made, and it's brought to light some of the things that are shared commonality goals and other things that I'm really excited to support Nathan, him doing in his lifetime. But I had a very similar list. I wanted to visit 30 countries by 30, and we made it. We visited my 30th country in my 30th year. Luckily, my 30th arrived before the pandemic, because that would have put some brakes on.
Well, and that has definitely put a dampener on our goals. We've cancelled 2 trips to the USA in 2020.
Hey, we bought a brewery instead.
So, it's like the brewery's just around the corner.
On the list?
The brewery wasn't on the list. No. That's something. Sometimes when
it was not.
Well, we manifested life changes, and that's what was thrown in front of us, and we just had to make a decision if it was right for us. So
yeah.
Yeah. So what I really like about this is it's like life by design. It's intentional.
Absolutely.
It's happening proactively rather than reactively. Is that a practice that you've had in your relationship before this point, or was that the first time this really showed up in that way?
Yeah, look, it definitely was present. I'll say this. I'm a business and mindset coach, and I'm also a neuro-linguistic programming master. So like mindset and goal setting, I'm a strategic coach, like, all of these things are very much a part of our life. But there was a point in time where we were doing all this stuff and actually
Without
had
knowing it.
no idea what we were doing, but we were still doing it. And so when we actually realized the power and we, let's say, harnessed our skills in manifestation and goal setting and, life by design, it accelerated a lot
Quickly,
faster.
yeah.
But yes, we actually have always done this. Yeah, like with career, but also, our focus before having children.
People will ask a lot of questions about how, why, how, obviously we got remarried again or renewed our vows, and it's important to us. It was really important to us to do it in front of our kids, because just so they can see what it's like and what we're like together. But
they know.
I know they know because they see it. But we also definitely went down the line with that of we always made each other the focus before we had kids, and even after we had kids. I see a lot of new parents become a parent of a child, and then that's my co-partner of the parent. But we said definitely made us as the focal point within our relationship. Our kids were given to us as a gift. We chose each other. And that's kind of basic how we put it. We still always think of that way. And I mean,
we love our children, but the reality is we didn't actually choose them.
Yes. And I don't mean we put them to the side.
As in, their personalities, their complexities. We fell in love with them because we created them. It wasn't like we met and our two worlds collided in the same way that you form a relationship with someone who you want to share your life with. And so we choose each other over our children every time. And that has always been intentional.
Yeah. So it's partner first, parent second.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I think that plays out in our parenting. We have a beautiful relationship, and we always have. So we're very fortunate. We're very, very fortunate in that respect.
But even after nearly 30 years, we still work on it. That's the key. I think the moment you sit on your hands and go, my job's done here, I'll just let it go. That's that hamster wheel that we were on, and just let life take it. You're not taking control of what's in front of you. And that's where we're really, really conscious about that.
Really
when we say that about, it sounds like we're like the parents that go, our kids are over there, we're just going to do what we want to. It's totally not like that. We've got 3 kids that are high performers as well. And a lot of our time is spent on our children with activities and this and that, like normal parents are. And we often get separated as a family because one of us will have to travel down with our son to play football. Our daughters will be both
dancing in another direction.
So it's just, that's, as a parent, we definitely do that. But we're really conscious about the time that we need with each other as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've read this book, but Esther Perel in her book, Mating in Captivity, talks to a whole range of different sexual relationship dynamics that can play out in long-term relationships and short-term relationships. But in relationships where people have chosen to have children, talking about that transition from it just being the two of you to being the two of you and this other person that you've created, and how difficult it can be to prioritize that romantic relationship and that sexual relationship. But she kind of flips it and says, like, one of the greatest gifts that you can give that child is a healthy, happy, thriving relationship being modeled to them. And part of that is having a delicious sex life, which I think is just so important, because Nathan and I don't have kids. We're not sure that that's for us. Lots of people make it look very unappealing.
And you know what? There's no right or wrong. And that's the thing. People always ask us that, even young couples say to us as well, oh, you've got kids. We're like, you know what? If it's not for you, it's not for you. Do what you got to do what suits you.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know. This is the thing. If you'd asked us the day that we got married, we both would have been like, of course we're going to have kids. Absolutely, we're having kids. And I think as we've got to know ourselves and deepened our environment that we live our life and our lifestyle, all of those things, like there's other things that really do bring us joy. And it's been a very big conversation probably over the last 5 years. It really did consume a lot of our how do we plan for our life if we don't know whether or not we're going to do this or not. But yeah, I think investing in your romantic relationship and modeling what a truly loving, nurturing relationship looks like absolutely is for your kids, even if that means that you're leaving them with a babysitter. It is for them. So
Absolutely.
that your romantic relationship continues to thrive.
Yeah.
Well, we lived in a caravan for 2 years, so I'm pretty sure that our kids know that their parents have sex. I'm pretty sure that they work that out.
Of course.
But, I think the thing is, it is so important. And I really feel as though our kids have been very fortunate to witness that, because neither of us
Not that.
grew. What?
No.
The rocking caravan.
The relationship between us, because neither of us saw the same relationships modeled by our parents in our households as children. And we really wanted to create that for each other, for ourselves first, hello. But the flow-on effect has definitely been the family unit. And the beautiful example of that was last year when we were renewing our vows, and our 3 children instinctively stood to the side at the front while we were on the beach, on our beautiful beach here in Sandy Beach on the mid-north coast. And our 3 children just instinctively stood there with their arms around one another. And, our middle daughter was even like sobbing because she was just so happy and so proud of her parents. And I think, for that to land with a 10-year-old like that, and just for the happiness that our children standing there and smiling and just being so proud and excited of the love that their parents share, we really basked in that, because they can see the modeling that is. And it plays out in their world in a really beautiful way. But I think from an intimacy point of view, I think it does get harder when you have children at first, and, things like bodies change and there's a whole range of stuff. But I think that on that journey in life, we started out together as teenagers. I can tell you now, we're having a lot better sex now in our 40s than what we were back then, I can tell you, and better than our 20s and better than our 30s. It's because we continue to grow together and we continue to learn together, and that means that we have a commitment to continue to learn about each other's bodies, and that plays out in all areas of our life. What happens in that part of our life,
it just filters through.
Out.
It's not a different part. That's that and that's that. We're not 2 different people. That's me all the time. That's the thing. I think as well for our children it's important to say that, obviously there's a lot of bad shit that goes on in the world with, violence against women. And I want our son to know how to treat a woman as well as another human, and also our daughters to how to be treated. I can't just tell them what your expectations need to be. I just need to show them. And that's I sort of take that on board as a part of, I really find it as a focal point for me to make sure that they're aware of it as well for that reason. So
being modeled a healthy, happy relationship is priceless, absolutely priceless.
And one that stands the test of time. It's not easy, right? Yeah. Like, nothing comes from nothing. And it's not easy, but it's pleasurable because we continue to put effort and breathe life into our relationship. And we're not here to be martyrs. And heaven forbid, if we decided to go off in different directions, then, there would be that growing apart and there'd be a parting. But as long as we're committed to continue to grow together, our kids see the effort that we put in. Our kids see that, we'll go and snuggle up on the lounge, and, we will be intimate in front of our children so that they see that there's love there, and that love is a normality in the relationship that their parents have, which I think is really nice.
So to take the dynamic of kids out of this equation, because there's other things that we can prioritize in our life, right? Like, so even Nathan and I, there's a million other things that we could choose to prioritize outside of our marriage. Like, we could double down on career or business, our relationship with our friends and family, and all of those other things. It could be really laser focused on the future or any of those kind of things, and we could put our relationship on the back burner even without that dynamic of kids. But I think the way that you phrased it, it's not always easy, but it's pleasurable. That's such a nice way to frame it, that investing in my relationship and prioritizing my romantic relationship isn't always the easy thing to do, but it always generates rewards.
Yeah.
So I'd love
100%.
to know, like, what is it that you like practically or tactically are doing to prioritize your relationship? Like, what does that look like when you're living it?
Well,
Oh, it's a juggle
I mean,
sometimes.
I have to be completely honest. In the last few months, even Adam said a few months ago, he said, I don't remember being this busy when our kids were toddlers. Like, we are in that season. We have a 17-year-old, we have an almost 12-year-old, and we have an almost 9-year-old. And like Adam said, we've got 3 kids who really excel at their chosen fields. But look, we will find that time to share a movie on a Saturday night. My love language is very much quality time. So, I will like to have like a little happy hour on the deck while the sun's going down. I'll say, come and have a wine or come and have a beer with me on the deck while the sun's going down. We will often have family Inc. meetings, even in the bath, so that it's sort of like, if we have to talk about things that are not really that sexy, we will try and make sure that it's done in a fun way and look for things like that.
Yep.
But family time is prioritized. I think we're at the end we're not at the end, but we're at a point in our parenting where we are really seeing that we don't have that much longer, particularly with our older daughter who's nearly an adult, right? So we're kind of like, we don't feel like we're in the trenches with little people. Yeah. We're like, we want to enjoy this while it still lasts because that's the season that we're in. But we also sit back and have that little look in each other's eye and go, yeah, we did that. Like, our kids are fucking awesome. Like, we did that. We made them. We've done a really good job. So that's a really nice thing too.
One of the things I think as a relationship wise that has made it easier for us, I believe, is we actually both work from home as well.
Yes, that's always handy.
And my love language is touch. And I mean, mine isn't you need to put your hands on me touch. Mine's to touch Sharon. So therefore, Sharon will finish a Zoom or I'll finish whatever I'm training, whatever. And even if one of us is still, I'll just come and put my hands on her. We're very fortunate that we work not together, but we work in the same environment every day. So that's where we can, you can fill.
We have lunch times together, and
you can fill your cup up gradually. Instead of one of you goes for the day, comes home, you've only got this short window to try and do what you need to do, and then you're trying to force it.
If we need to refuel, then it's a great opportunity that we might say, look, can we take a longer lunch break today? We might do a whole range of things during that time. But, I think
we're back at the rocking caravan.
It's just taking that time together is always a really nice thing to do.
Well, I think one of the things that's really helped is that energy understanding.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I guess one of the things that we have done in the last couple of years, we've dived in quite deep to some of the work of Julie Tenner, who is a client of mine, who's just amazing. She's an intimacy and relationships coach, and she wrote the book Flowers and Honey. And so we've really enjoyed dancing more in that space of learning about masculine and feminine energies and playing with that, because it really is a great space to kind of play in.
I think if a lot more people knew about this stuff and how we actually work as humans, that probably relationships and marriages would probably last a bit longer and more people would stay together.
Yeah, especially during times like the season that we're in. Like, as I say, we've got a kid in year 6 who's the school captain. She's doing amazing things. Our oldest daughter is about to do her HSC. There's extra things involved with that. She's also dancing at a high level. And I think, with that, like, because of that season that we're in, we can kind of make space for going, it's okay. Like, we've got this, like, I tend to end up too much in my head. And when I'm all in that masculine energy, like, Adam now recognizes what that looks like and is able to really help me soften and open so that I can be more receptive to, to receiving touch and just being more present with him and the kids. So, understanding that's definitely been a game changer. So I guess that's definitely one of the big things that we've been doing to really continue to fan the flames.
So, Adam, you kind of said there you wish more people knew this stuff. Can you summarize Flowers and Honey for us? Tell us what you've learned and how you've been applying it.
I just think
he's Julie's number one top of the class student.
No, I just think what it is it's more about the energy. Like, doesn't matter what gender you are, you carry both masculine and feminine energy. And I think that, like, when two people have got masculine energy fighting at the same time, you're headbutting and it's generally not working. And so, even if as a masculine core being, I still have a feminine side that I go into as well. And that's kind of like when you understand the why things happen the way they happen in your relationship,
the polarity.
It's got nothing to do with, there's an issue. It's got nothing to do with that. Where historically and over time, and if you don't understand enough, you think, what have I done wrong? What's the scenario going on here? But the more I understood personally why Sharon did things the way she did sometimes, it was actually laughable to think that I have the ability to change it when normally you'll feel like you're the victim.
So what has been your work around really understanding like that masculine and feminine energies and how to dip in and out of those?
Play. We've played with it. Just experimented with it. I mean, even down to being in a yoga or meditation class and side by side in the class.
Not touching, just simply lying next to each other.
Then just having a bit of a giggle afterwards and go, did you feel anything there? Where did you feel that? And the other one going, get out, I did. I felt this here. I felt that there. And when we've tapped into that realm, we've kind of blown our own minds, haven't we? Like, we never thought that we could do that, but we actually have an ability to really push that energy towards one another at all times, even when we're not physically connected, which was pretty bloody amazing. We just had fun playing with that. But also, Adam said about, from his point of view, that there's been times where he was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, where's she gone? Is there something wrong? And there's nothing wrong. I'm just like in the zone. But equally, like, I'm there, and because I'm in my masculine, it naturally pushes him into his feminine, and he doesn't know what to do with that. And then I get frustrated by that because I'm like, where's my man? Like, where's my divine masculine gone? Where's my king? And so now it's like, like, I need to remember to have that practice where I soften. Maybe that looks like if I've been nose to the grindstone for a while, I'll know, right, need to put on a floaty skirt, need to put on makeup, do my hair.
Take your underwear off.
Take my underwear off. It's a thing. I'm sorry, it's a thing. I
was going to share a story about underwear. So
whack on a skirt with no undies. Not wear yoga or lycra, because that is very restrictive on the feminine, and the feminine is all about senses. So I might go and get a nice bottle of wine. I might say to Adam, look, I really feel like a really nice meal. And he always knows how to get to me with food, because that's part of
the chef.
That's part of how we roll. And so, I think that's like a really interesting sort of way that I can weave that in, but also Adam knows when I've reached my limit, and he can also do things that can help me soften as well. Because we've learned how we can regulate one another's nervous systems, we can share that energy, we can use the polarity between us. It plays out in all areas of our life, really. Yeah. We have a really interesting family dynamic that's quite different to most. So Adam is employed and I run our business. But, I think the thing is Adam does a lot of the household chores and things like that. And that's kind of, it plays out differently compared to a lot of households. So Adam will do a lot more of the running around with the kids. He will also do, the groceries, the cooking. We have a house cleaner. And then, I will do a lot more work. But that also means that I'm not necessarily doing some of the natural things that align with my feminine energy, like preparing the home, like cooking and things like that. So it's important that there's other things in our relationship that help me to regulate, but also allow Adam to regulate as well and drop into his divine masculine, which he does love because he loves taking care of me.
Another part for that is the masculine side is you got to fix it. You don't need to be fixed, but our side is if there's an issue, we fix it. That's the masculine way. That's one of the things I've learned as well, that sometimes you just got to let it go and just let it be broken for a little bit, and then it will fix itself instead of just trying to fix it all the time, because that's how the masculine works.
I think it's really interesting, though, like how much our jobs and our careers, I guess, can play into either a masculine or a feminine role. Then outside of that, it can be hard to switch to the opposite as well. So like you said, if you have been hustling away all day and then you come to connect with your partner and you're real stuck in that masculine way, but you actually need to soften a bit to then connect with your partner, it can be really challenging to do that.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're not aware of it, what the hell's going on here, then it's even worse. And that's what I think breaks up a lot of people's marriages and a lot of relationships, because people just don't understand how we really, really work. It's that if people really understood, like I reckon what Jules teaches, I know there's plenty of other coaches out there that do this sort of stuff, but I mean, after 27 years of a marriage, 20 years of marriage, we decide let's take our marriage and our life and our sex life to the next level again as well. And I think if people continually put that effort in to try and, you get your car serviced every 6 months, so hey, why not service other parts of your life as well? So I think that's important.
As long as that's not
not
once
yourself.
every 6 months you get a service.
Not your self-service. So.
Sharon, you might resonate with this. Obviously, you're a very ambitious, business-orientated woman. And it was a couple of years ago, I found myself like very much spending a large portion of my time in like a masculine building type energy. And I think a lot of the business world is built around that masculine energy 100%. And leaning into that. And I had found even just very small things that I was doing outside of that environment, more in my personal life, that were still carrying over that masculine. So there was things like I just started wearing like regular undies, where I'd always been like soft, feminine, lacy undies, and for some reason that had dropped away. And even just the fragrances that I was wearing, I'd started gravitating to much more like earthy, woody, masculine sort of presenting scents, or even wearing names. And then the same, a lot of like the clothing and things that I was wearing were not particularly like feminine presenting kind of things, or things that didn't particularly help me lean into like a softer, more feminine thing. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, or you probably got a bit more knowledge and understanding of how this kind of works, but that often women, particularly who have a stronger masculine presenting energy, are in that space because they don't feel safe, or aren't feeling able to feel really taken care of like, okay, I can let go, I can, not organize, manage, drive, all of these things. I actually have a partner who I can trust to lean into their masculine so that I can stay in that soft feminine. I don't know. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Am I talking bullshit?
No, you're not.
I just want to add there to that. If women or feminine core beings really knew how powerful they were in their feminine, you could walk into a boardroom full of 100 men and you could hold the floor if you were in your feminine. Because everyone.
Hang on. If it was a room full of divine masculines.
Oh, okay. That's a fair call.
Unfortunately, that's not how the world works.
But if there's a lot of people in that room who do have that side as well,
absolutely.
You could 100% hold the floor in a room
full of you, babe.
Yeah, a beautiful flowing dress. I mean, not revealing, just a beautiful dress that you are really comfortable in because I think a lot of your own best work as a feminine is in that space.
Yeah.
But the problem is business has forced women to go down the path of having to stand up to the, and that's kind of like, I reckon it's flip. It needs to flip. If it flipped back, you'll rule the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard too, because the business education, the learning, the resources, the success, all modeled.
That's not the case in my business world. This is the thing. So I bring this into my business coaching.
Flipped it.
So, I work with women to help them who are usually in that world that's uber masculine, even if they're working with other female coaches that are uber masculine, So that's the space that I feel as a business coach, is to work with women to be able to balance their masculine and their feminine in order to have flow. Because here's the thing, even as a feminine core being, we need to have our cultivated divine masculine in order to get shit done. Otherwise, we're just going to be a fucking flood. And that's not good either, right?
Yeah.
Like, we need to create that comfortable riverbank so that our feminine can flow safely within it. And similarly, the divine masculine needs that opportunity to be able to soften so that, and I'm going to say he, but of course we know that it doesn't mean a gender, so that he isn't just a walking head. Like, he needs to be a body and drop in. But I want to come back to what you were saying, Sammy. You're absolutely right. Like, there are women who don't feel safe being in their feminine through, past trauma, through experience. There are reasons why there are women who it's not safe to be in their feminine. Maybe every time that they've shown their feminine that it's been breached by somebody through sexual abuse or verbal abuse or a whole range of things. It can also be a really intimidating thing for some people who might be a little bit more shy or introverted to put their feminine on, and then all of a sudden everybody notice, and that be quite confronting for them. So, I absolutely think, yes, it's definitely true that a lot of feminine core beings don't feel safe being in their feminine. However, I would also say that being in our feminine doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be subtle. Sometimes it's the subtleties, like the, just the fulfillment of our senses. So it might be taking a warm bath. Like, Wim Hof is not the feminine way. Don't get out of the water. Get out of the water, ladies.
The frozen water.
Leave that shit to the divine masculines. It's not going to work for you. Get in the warm bath, put the oils in the bath, use exfoliant, those sorts of practices is how, someone who even does have levels of trauma might be able to just gently open up their nervous system to be able to introduce this into their life. So it can be subtle.
Yeah. One of the things that Nathan and I learned from Tony Robbins around this energy of masculine and feminine was that the feminine really struggles when it's unseen, misunderstood, and unsafe, whereas the masculine really doesn't respond well to being criticized, controlled, or closed off. So I like that idea of like, how can we honor each of those parts in each of us to make space for that nice yin and yang, or sun and moon, or recognizing that they both have a role to play. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add other than you like me back in my lacy?
But, I think that that's a real thing. It was a few years ago now, and Sammy, I can relate to that. And I just kind of got to the point and I was like, you know what? Like, and I'm going to say this, and I know she's just passed away, but I did ask myself, would the Queen in her heyday wear these granny undies? And, I'm just going to be like, no, like a goddess, a queen, she's not going to wear that. Same as like, get rid of the shit pajamas. Like, get rid of your crap.
Pajamas.
Get rid of the pajamas. Also, get rid of the bed sheets or the daggy linen. That's where you lay down every night. That's where you lay with your lover. Like, that is a really sacred space. And when you reshape and reframe the way that we think around some of that stuff, it can just tune you more into, the finer details of things that just bring more gratitude into your life, but also bring the time that you're together as a couple as even more sacred.
I love that you shared that, because one of our goals for 2022 was to revamp our bedroom, and that our bedroom becomes a environment, what do we call it? A sanctuary for sleep and sex. And that, they're not big things, but it was like we needed some new linen and better lighting and a diffuser, just like not huge extravagant things. Like we needed to change some storage so that it wasn't all open and exposed. Like
some of the other things can be make the bed.
Yeah, that too.
Make it daily.
We've done that too.
Make the bed. So if you come in,
for years we always had a practice together, and it probably started when we were living in the caravan together, because we had no choice but to make the bed, because the whole caravan looks messy if our bed wasn't made. And before that, we would get up at different times because of the natures of our jobs. But when we made the life change, we started making the caravan bed, and we've done that for years now. And it's almost like thank you, we'll come back this evening and reconvene this, and just sort of like a closure, but also like a start to the day, like a beautiful transition to go from nighttime togetherness to daytime inspiration.
And just setting up the environment to be conducive to what you want it for. Like what is this space really used for? And if it was at its best, what would that be? It would be a made bed. It would be an inviting place for sex, play, and sleep. Thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about how you built such a beautiful relationship. But is there something that you would like to share? Have you got like a daily, weekly, monthly kind of practice, anything that helps keep your relationship fueled up that you'd recommend to other couples?
I was listening to one of your episodes and you guys were talking about something similar, but each January we come together and usually we'll try and find a space of time and a space that we can be inspired by. Maybe it's we're on holidays, maybe it might be over the course of a few days, maybe it's just sort of like finding that opportunity in a clean room that's tidy without the kids, so we can actually just sit down and really feel into what we want to bring through in our year and take a bit of a pulse check on how we're doing in different areas of our life, individually and then together. So, we get out the butcher's paper and the coloured textures and we put some inspirational music on and we might have a glass of wine and some yummy food and we'll just go for it. And then that usually sort of moves into, right, like what's our priorities this year? What's our goal? What do we want to do?
Nothing's off the table as well. So whatever your own thought process is what it is. I think that's one of the things that we're really comfortable about in our relationship as well, that it's just we're very open.
Yeah. And we'll also look back on what did we put down last year and did we achieve that? We don't really visit it much during the year. We kind of take a lot.
Too busy.
We just sort of let a lot to chance in that respect. But, well, let's say the last 2.5 years has taught us that certainly we were more intentional a little while back. But
pre-global pandemic.
It's been harder in the last 2.5 years, that's for sure. But in saying that, there's some really exciting things that did manifest that we didn't see coming, like the brewery that we're part owners in, like my business taking off very quickly at the start of the pandemic, other opportunities and things that we've done. It
wasn't all doom and gloom. It was it just shut the normality door and open up the exciting door. What else is out there? So it just forces people to think differently. And as I said, we opened up a brewery in COVID. Like, hey, that's a great idea. But we did it.
And it's still going.
It's still going, so it's good.
Yeah, it's just that opportunity to come back together at the beginning of the year and really feel inspired by the new year. And daydream together is still important. We've always had opportunities where I can remember in Adam's little yellow Gemini, and, I can remember us just driving, just daydreaming then, when we've been on holidays, it's always seemed to be a time in January that has been a natural reset. Time for us to circle back to daydreaming. And I guess that comes about through that, having that spaciousness, that opportunity to unplug from life. We don't have the hustle. We're on holidays from work. Kids aren't rushing around to their activities in school. And so just making space for daydreaming together has really brought about some amazing things, and then also unexpected, but also equally amazing as well.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I love that. And you're right, we do have a similar practice. We do ours more aligned with the season. So we do ours at the end of November, just as we come into summer. And for us, we've always holidayed like for 2 or 3 weeks in December. So it's kind of nice for us to set our intentions, go on holidays, come back, and then we kind of get to hit the ground running. But I can't recommend that type of practice enough, to carve out some very intentional time to get on the same page, decide what's most important for the year ahead. What do we really want to achieve? What are our priorities? How are we taking care of ourselves and each other in this next year? What worked last year? What do we want to do more of, less of, differently? All of those big conversations. But to, the things that you think that, we should talk about that, but like commit, carve out the time. Like, what is more important than your life?
Yep.
Yeah. And then usually off the back of that, we'll look, at our finances and go, where's our money flowing to right now? Like, there's small goals that don't cost anything,
Going for a picnic
at
a certain spot.
Exactly. These goals don't have to be expensive, but heck, it's a lot more fun if you can put some money behind some of them, And so it's being intentional about where our money is going that's leading to our better life. And I think for anybody, I think it's so important to know what your own personal core values are and really be able to tap into those. And, we don't have exactly the same core values, but certainly there are things that we share as a couple. It's almost like we've got individual core values and then we've got things that we value as a couple.
Yeah, that's definitely what we have as well. And we worked out our shared core values based on our own core values and then, got aligned about what we care about together. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, you two. Later this year, Nathan and I are doing our own vow renewal for our 10th wedding anniversary.
Yay.
So we won't have any kids there, but we've got lots of friends, particularly some really special friends in our life that weren't there 10 years ago. So we're really looking forward to celebrating that day with all of our favourite people and our grandparents, all that sort of stuff too, because so much has changed in that last 10 years. So I appreciate that you found a similar ritual to re-acknowledge and commit to the life that you're building together.
We'll do ours again. So
I don't think we'll wait 20 years till we do the
funny
next
thing
one,
for us is we sort of spoke about it and said, we'll just do it in front of our kids and our parents. That's it, done. And then we had a friend say, are you kidding?
We were flipping and flopping.
We didn't really, we won't do it that big. And then we had a friend say, I'm going to help. And I was just like, I said to Sharon, yeah, we'll see. She came around the next day and she had the whole bloody thing planned on spreadsheets. I was like, Jesus Christ, we have to do it now. And it actually, we had a quite a large gathering and it turned out awesome. It was so good. It was
amazing.
And then we went away as well
had
to
a little honeymoon.
a second honeymoon again. So we went away for a couple of days. It was just awesome.
I love that. Yes, the opportunity to celebrate each other and the relationship that you've created together. I love this.
And there'll be a big celebration in March next year. 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe is there a list for that?
There's not a list. It'll be dependent around the complexities of the rest of the children and the children and their things. But you know what? Like, it doesn't matter because
we still celebrate it.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter what else is going on because we know what's going on. And sometimes, yes, there is that wanting to go away. We have that pull a lot, but there's also other things that we can do that's enough to fill our cup. And we're like, you know what? This is great. We love being with our kids. Yes, each other is still the focus, but we find time. We can find time around our children and around our life. Like Adam said, we can do it in the middle of a working day if we want. We have that flexibility. So we're really fortunate that way.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you both so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about how you make it work and how you've built this such a beautiful relationship. But to say thank you, we have provided a week's worth of childhood education to a classroom in Kenya. So we've been able to do this via our partnership with Buy One, Give One. So thank you so much for making that possible.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
No worries. So Sharon and Adam, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about what you do, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Sharon Joy Coaching or on the web at sharonjoycoaching.com. We're not all that active these days on our family travel blog, but you can always go and have a search of Galway's Go Round, GALWAYS GOROUND. We've got an Instagram there, and there's also some YouTube from our travels around Australia. We don't post a whole lot on that these days, but that's sort of
waiting
more
for the
of
next
a family
trip
backstory. Yes, waiting for the next trip. I think when it comes, it'll be long overdue. But certainly, there's been times where we've shared quite a lot there about our life transformation and things like that. But you probably tend to find on SharonJoyCoaching.com is where it's at.
And what's the brewery?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Woolgoolga Brewing Co. You can find the brewery at Whoopi Brewing Co. That's WOOPI Brewing Co. on Instagram, on the web, or next time you're holidaying on the Mid-North Coast, pop in and let us know and we'll meet you there for a beer and a pizza.
Sounds great.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. As you heard us mention, we have an annual game plan process that Nathan and I go through every year. And if this is something that you're interested and you'd like to set yourself up for success in 2023, we have a mini course for you. So inside the course, there are 9 bite-sized video lessons, some conversation prompts to help you unpack what worked this year and what might need some work next year. There's some Google Sheet budget templates, some goal-setting activities, and an agenda. What is it that you really need to talk about and what are the things to move through? There's a PDF workbook with some activities and, of course, a printable calendar and a vision board template. So this is the exact process that Nathan and I have refined over, I think, like the last 6, maybe 7 years. And we've bundled up all of those tools and resources for you. So you can get that at fuelcollective.com.au/AGP, annual game plan. Because as we've just heard from Sharon Joy and Adam, life is just better when you've done it intentionally and with focus. So I invite you to come and join us in that life by design.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.